Exactly. Welcome back. We're live on Channel 5 and My 5, obviously, with the lovely Albie and the lovely Nina. Later, we'll be asking whether there should be tougher laws on new drivers. But now I want your calls on this. Brace yourself. Is the Rwanda plan worth the money? 0207 862 2222 is that number, so give us a call. The scheme will cost the taxpayer, that's you and I, £1.8 million for each of the first 300 asylum seekers that the government deports to Rwanda. The immigration policy stands at more than £500 million according to the latest figures. And even if no one is sent to Rwanda, the government has still signed up to pay £370 million over a 5-year deal. The government is under pressure to bring down the immigration numbers after it hit a record high of 700,000 last year. But can the Rwanda scheme actually do it? And is it worth your money in a cost of living crisis over here? Albie, that's a lot of figures there, an awful lot of money. I mean, most of us are struggling with the pound in our pocket, let alone the billions that I've just read out there. I mean, is the Rwanda scheme worth the money?
First thing I'll say is that immigration figure was the legal immigration
yes,
figure.
Yes, that was, yeah, absolutely.
Illegal immigration figure, so that's quite a different question. But on the Rwanda scheme, yes, it is expensive. I think the government have agreed to pay the Rwandan government £370 million over the first 5 years of the deal. And that is a lot of money, I completely understand that. But also, let's look at what we're spending on Channel migrant crossings at present. We're spending £7 million a day on housing illegal migrants in hotels across the country. There are lots of people across the country who really don't like the fact that these hotels, these businesses, these local businesses are being taken over by illegal migrants from other parts of the world and that maybe don't fit in very well to those communities. And it makes people feel very angry that the government seems to not be able to have control over who's coming in and coming out of the country. And if the deterrent can work, the idea is that it stops people coming across the channel completely. So we're not spending £7 million a day on hotels. And these things are expensive. Deterrents are expensive. The Trident nuclear deterrent cost almost £13 billion when it was renewed. The Ministry of Justice budget, over half of which is spent on prisons and probation, is £14.8 billion. That's £7 billion on prisons. These are deterrents to things. We don't just say something is so expensive, so we're not going to have prisons, or we're not going to have a Trident nuclear deterrent. We have deterrents in society for a reason. The Trident deterrent has worked, the prison deterrent has worked, and I'm confident the Rwanda deterrent will work.
This is the problem. It's not actually working at the moment.
Because we've got no planes off the ground.
More Home Secretaries out there than migrants.
The thing is, it's not going to work. It's not a deterrent. It's absolutely not a deterrent. It's a distraction. All this money is being spent on something that will not work. Because,
how do you know it won't work?
Well, for instance, Albie, if a plane, by some miracle, could take off with 300 migrants and take them to Rwanda, that's it. That's the number of hotel rooms there are. After that first plane load, then what? And we're supposed to think, you know, we're being told that Rwanda's this fabulous place, it's perfectly safe, which there are many people who would argue with that. The British High Commission said that human rights is a work in progress. There was that shooting of migrants a few years ago. There are people who have been disappeared. Their attitude towards the LGBTQ plus community is draconian, and so you know you can't have it both ways. And amongst the asylum seekers who Britain took in last year were 15 Rwandans. So you know you can't have it both ways. You can't have this fabulous place and let's all go off on holiday there, and saying it's a deterrent. It's not a deterrent in that A, it's not going to work. It would also mean us pulling out of the European Convention of Human Rights, which was pretty much founded and set up and supported by Winston Churchill. Now that says something. Winston Churchill, whatever you may say about anything that's non-PC, he is a British hero, and you cannot argue with that fact. To break an international law like that, to have this kind of distraction scheme is not it.
It has been said that it's like, look over there, it's not what else is going on over here, isn't it? We've got loads of callers coming in. Let's go to Linda in Cambridgeshire first. Good morning, Linda. What would you like to say? Rwanda, is it worth your taxpayers' money?
Good morning. No, I don't think it is. There's so much going on in the world today, where we help this country out, that country out, etc., etc., and it's all, it's all going to war, whether we help them out or not. It's just complete waste of money, and there's so much that people need in the world today in our own country, but our own country is never looked at. It's never taken into consideration about the old people, about the homelessness. It's always our country having to help other countries. And what do we get back in return for it? We get the immigrants, we get the war. I just don't think it's worth it at all.
So, Linda, obviously your charity begins at home, subscribing to that. But what do we do? I mean, we've still got migrants, crossing the channel, risking their lives. What do we do with them?
I'm really at a loss as to what we do with them. I mean, why did it become our problem? I don't understand that. We have problems of our own, that we can't help people of our own, but then we're going to help everybody else's problems. I mean, why does it become our problem?
Well, Linda, I mean, one of the reasons that we have a problem is that as a nation, we have participated in wars in other countries. We're also have the relics of a colonial past. So there is an attachment to this country. And we have to also take responsibility for things that we've done. A lot of the legal migrants last year were from Hong Kong. We're also from Ukraine. And Ukraine is a completely different situation. It's a war that has to be fought and we have to support, because if we don't fight it, it'll be on our doorstep next. So you can't just say, look, we're just sitting here quietly and suddenly we've got this influx of migrants. You reap what you sow, frankly.
Linda, I mean, obviously, this doesn't benefit just benefit Rwanda. It also benefits the UK. But let's move on to another Linda. Thank you, Linda in Cambridgeshire. Now let's talk to Linda in Berkshire. Linda, good morning. What would you like to say?
Good morning. What I want to say is it's worth every penny.
Oh.
It's okay to keep saying it's not a deterrent. You don't know it's not a deterrent until you use it. And secondly, we've got to do something. We can't afford to keep putting these people in hotels. They think it's okay to keep coming because we keep giving them treats for coming. We're giving them everything that the British people aren't getting. We've got to remove them. They've got to go. You don't even know who these people are in these hotels. I'm dealing with hotels up by me, and not all these people are pleasant. Not all these people need help. Only some of them. And we can't keep taking them. If they want to come, go it through a legal route. If you can't come legal, then you must be sent wherever. And Rwanda, wherever, just take them off because we cannot afford these hotels.
Really
We've
strong.
got too much in this country to pay for. The homeless are getting worse. There's people being evicted from their homes because they can't pay a mortgage, they can't pay the rent, and they're being told you're not going to get housed for a good 9-10 years. We've got to start. We can't keep saying it's not going to work or, what about the money? Look at the money we're spending on them, the money we're giving to them, and they want more, more, more. They're not satisfied. They're just saying this isn't good enough, throwing it in your face.
Linda, very strong words indeed. Thank you so much for your call. Let's go to Frankie in Bristol now. Frankie, good morning. Rwanda, is it worth your taxpayers' money?
I've got to agree with both Lindas in one point. Obviously, the first one is right on everything that she said. And the second one, I totally agree, it is going to be worth the money in the end. I know it's a lot of money to pull out, but by removing them gradually, we will have, and then if hopefully we can stop them coming over, that will then obviously decrease, and then we've got more money to spend on the people that need it most over here. So I agree on both of them, on both views. So yeah, use the taxpayers' money if it gets them out of here. I agree on it totally.
Frankie, but the NHS, education, defence. I mean, we've got so many things we could be spending money on in this country as well.
Well, exactly. I do agree on what you're saying, but what about our homeless? What about our veterans, our OAPs, the people that what they went through? Why aren't they being looked after? A lot of countries abroad look after their elderly. They respect and look after them for what they went through. Why don't we start looking after our elderly instead of these people who shouldn't be in this country anyway, coming over here sponging, and our poor people got to suffer? I'm sorry, but that's how I look at it. So the quicker, the sooner, the better. Stop this. I hate this human rights thing they're on about all the time. Human rights this, human rights that. No, other countries don't care about human rights, so why should we care?
Excuse me, Frankie, it's an international law. Other people do care.
But Nina, sorry, no, other countries. So what about when ISIS? So what about when ISIS was beheading people? That's not human rights. That is butchery and
We're not
barbaric.
talking about terrorist organisations. We're talking about countries. We're not.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about human rights. That is not human rights. I'm sorry.
It's not. And those are terrorist actions. But in
we're too soft. We need to toughen up.
Civilised
We need
society,
a better government.
we
need a stronger government.
We need a change of government.
Nina, we need a stronger government that stands for Britain. This has got to be Britain all over again. This is the UK, this is England. We should be back to how it was years ago.
And how was it years ago, Frankie?
Well, it was a better country years ago. I'm proud.
Way?
I was proud to be British.
In
not
what way?
Very much. Not too much. No, sorry, Nina. I've got to say it as it is.
Frankie, very, very, very strong opinions there. Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate that. And we have to stress that obviously not everyone who is seeking asylum in this country is here for nefarious reasons. But so many calls on this one. Let's go now to Paul in West Yorkshire. Hello, Paul. What would you like to say?
I disagree. It's not going to work. It's against international law. It should be scrapped completely. The money that they're going to be spending on this should be used for sorting out a complex homeless situation. Homelessness is a complex situation. People have addictions, substance addiction problems and gambling addictions that can cause them to be homeless. So I completely disagree with the previous caller, Frankie, that we should be dealing homelessness is not a simple thing. Yeah, I was homeless. I had an addiction problem, but I've sorted myself out. But I chose because I got help. But that's where that's what needs to happen. Is that money should be spent on helping those here, including asylum seekers. Asylum seeking is a complex issue.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of red tape, backlog. That money could be spent for the government to employ more people to speed up these asylum processes.
I think that's what we come back to, isn't it? Paul, thank you so much for your call and good luck with your continued recovery. Really appreciate your call. Let's go to Nottingham now and talk to Colin. Colin, what would you like to say?
Yeah, good morning. And all I can start with is peace and love to everybody. My view is I just wish people would stop talking about the cost. As I speak to you now, I'm in a comfortable house on my own. My dear wife passed away, and I'm still trying to deal with it. But I try to put myself in the shoes of other people. By dint of birth, I could be running around the streets of Gaza or hiding under buildings in the Ukraine. Let's get the money out of the munitions, and let's just look after each other, because we're running out of time here. Think about it. I stand here transfixed. I can't believe what's happening in the world and what we do to each other.
Colin, does that mean that you want every single person who lives in a a less good country than the United Kingdom to come to the United Kingdom. I think it's lovely to come on a television show and say, oh, peace and love, everyone. You know, let's just help everyone that is less fortunate than us in the entire world. But that is billions of people. We've got to be practical about this sort of thing. It is not practical for the United Kingdom, or Europe for that matter, to take every single refugee in the world.
Well, excuse me, Colin, and I...
Unfortunately, we're running out of time on this debate.
You're exaggerating. It's not
sorry,
billions.
right.
Billions of people are not trying to get... We are 20th on the list of people...
I'm
countries.
sorry, Nina, we have run out of time. But Colin, thank you so much for your call. I appreciate your call. And that's for all your calls on this. So many wanted to get through, but unfortunately we have to move on. We've run out of time. Now, after...